Huntington residents have protested to Town Hall since spring 2017 about the installation of 5G cell antennas. I appreciate Councilwoman Sergel and the board writing Congressman Swazi and the FCC. Nonetheless, for 3 years, these antennas have continued to be installed right in front of our homes without our knowledge, consent, or independent safety test. Citizens have spoken month after month at these town board meetings about 5G health risks, decreased property values, privacy, and other concerns. Given the urgency of this situation, is merely writing letters a sufficient response? The threats of 5G reach far beyond this town, far beyond environmental and health risk, and far beyond what I can address in my allotted time. Suffice to say, 5G is not necessary for the faster speeds the ads are promoting it as. It's necessary for the so-called Internet of Things. In other words, to connect every possible device to the Internet, all collecting personal information on every aspect of our lives. None other than former CIA Chief Mike Morrell told CBS News that 5G is going to, quote, create more platforms from which an intelligence service can spy, end quote. We did not ask for this surveillance or the cybersecurity vulnerabilities it brings. Supervisor Lupinacci, I sympathize with you inheriting this problem from Frank Petrone and understand you're bound by the 1996 Telecommunication Act and the 2012 Spectrum Act. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know what the solution is, and it's not my job to solve it. Nor is it any of the other people who came here tonight. We have jobs of our own, we're neglecting our families to be here. This is why we pay you $163,000 a year. This is your job. It does not take a lawyer, though, to know that it is wrong for multiple levels of government, including our local town of Huntington, to join with $1 trillion industry to force on all of us an intrusive technology we do not need and cannot escape, not even in what should be the safety and privacy of our homes. Supervisor Lupinacci, you did not take an oath of office to serve the telecommunication industry or to bow down to the FCC. You took an oath to serve the people of Huntington. Moreover, because our town was among the earlier to enter into a 5G contract, there are people all over the country watching us, hoping for leadership to take a stand they can use as a precedent in their own communities. I urge you and the board, if you don't care about our health, if you don't care about the environment, if you don't care about our privacy rights, if you don't care about our property values, if for no other reason than your own political futures, please stand up for your townspeople. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gebhardt.
So, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Huntington has the most 5G small cells per square mile, okay? You guys have a serious problem here, all right? I haven't spoken to you directly, you don't know me from a hole in the wall, but I've heard that you really aren't very receptive to the subject. You got a serious problem. Within the past month, 2 lawsuits have been filed against the FCC. The FCC, big fish compared to you guys. So lawsuits are coming. The excuse that you have no power is complete BS. You have all the power in the world. It's laid out in the Constitution with the 10th Amendment, and the FCC does not have police power. You guys need to step up to the plate and take a stand here. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Western Springs, Illinois has essentially created a roadmap. If you're not familiar, I really implore you to go to their website and check it out. They have a whole section of their website just for 5G, okay? So while I'm up here, let's just reiterate the health effects. Peer-reviewed research has demonstrated the following health problems associated with the use of wireless technologies. This includes sperm damage, oxidative stress, altered brain development, DNA damage, immune system damage, memory problems, sleep problems, hyperactivity, behavior problems, breach of blood-brain barrier, brain tumors, cancer, as well as harm to birds, bees, and trees. Is this something you want to expose your children to? I think the answer is no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So here we are. Our useful and seemingly magical cell phones, laptops, and 4G Wi-Fi have been shown to have an unhealthy impact on our brains, our bodies, in fact, all that is alive. Thousands of independent scientists and ever so many independent studies of the biological effects of EMF have come to this conclusion. With the rollout of 5G, as reportedly planned, it will be a tidal wave of radiation with no safe place. Big tech, in my opinion, has not been ethical or forthcoming in presenting the complete picture to the public. If we're going to be using something, we should be educated about the hazards and the much-needed safety measures we might take. The FCC, in my opinion, has not been responsive to significant concerns about the threat to public health. The media, in my opinion, has been strangely quiet. Once 5G is rolled out, as currently planned, there will be no protection from the physical assault of this radiation, not even in our homes, not even if we choose to have no devices or would go without Wi-Fi. We will still be radiated. We are a nation of the people, by the people, and for the people. We are not a people to be done to by corporations and government. Supervisor Lupinacci and town board members, are you willing to work to at least get a moratorium so that this can be further studied? You have person after person coming up here and talking about an overwhelming threat to public life, to everything that's living in the environment. Please respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Ann Mayer, followed by Marla Peck.
Hello, Ann Mayer, Citizens for following up what this woman just said. The FCC, we know, is a revolving door to industry, and they don't care a fig about the environment or our health. I'd like to mention Resolution 2020-83, the Northport Power Plant, and the obligation to protect the health and safety welfare of town residents. That is exactly what we're asking you people sitting up there that represent our town to do for your town residents when it relates to 5G. And we just sort of, we keep getting pushed off. Chad, several times you've told me you're going to contact me, your assistant's going to contact me, call me. They never call back. I brought a branch that you all saw that was in a Ziploc bag that was covered with fungus. I asked that somebody would report back, that have an arborist look at it and explain what's happening. So I'm following up. I sent you all an email, basically reporting, Chad, that you didn't get back to me. And you tell people you're going to respond and you don't. But, you know, my letter here, you know, basically speaking about the 5G cocktail of 3G, 4G, 5G, and that, Chad, you were at the Centerport Civic Association meeting. You said you get back to me. You didn't. The trees are the lungs of our planet. These trees are the lungs of our town. And then I quoted Martin Paul, who says that trees, because of their surface area, are particularly susceptible to 5G. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I see that there's an agenda item or a resolution that you're going to get free trees. That's fantastic, because I did ask you that we're going to need a reforestation here in Huntington. Town residents out there, look at what is happening to our trees. They are dying. Just look, they're falling where they stand. And if they're not falling where they stand, when a storm comes through, the branches are on the ground. Look at this one on Cove Road. This is an accident. This is a death waiting to happen. That's only Cove Road. And I mentioned that you will be liable for negligence if you don't take care of these dying, dead trees and get to the bottom of what's happening. And I believe it's the immune system of these trees is being affected by the 5G, and they cannot fight the fungus that is now engulfing them. They are turning green. Residents, look at the trees. That's all you have to do. Just look at the trees. Another item that you have on your resolution was 2020-107 and 108, replacement of water meters. I'd like to know what kind of water meters. Are they smart meters or a different type of meter? Is somebody going to commit to get back to me on all of these things? Thank you.
Thank you. Marla Peck, followed by Mr. Carpin.
Good evening. I stand before you as a grandmother of 3 young children. My biggest concern is that they have an opportunity to grow up in a safe environment that will enable them to thrive physically and mentally. With the installation of small cell antennas in our neighborhoods, that will not be possible. I repeat, that will not be possible. These small cell antennas have been installed specifically to broadcast the 5G frequency in addition to the current 2G, 3G, and 4G existing radio frequency electromagnetic fields. These fields have already been proven to be harmful to humans and the environment by thousands of independent scientific studies. The difference is that 5G small antennas will be emitting near-field millimeter wave frequency signals in the gigahertz range, billions, Chad, of cycles per second, every 2 to 10 homes in residential neighborhoods. This will result in millions of transmitters in our beloved neighborhoods. What Crown Castle, Chad, is not telling us is that 5G small cell antennas, and I need everybody's attention, not fiddling with papers. You know, it's really disrespectful, I'm sorry. What Crown Castle is not telling us is that 5G small cell antennas outside our homes will also be emitting far-field long-wave 4G megahertz frequency, millions of cycles per second, the very same powerful signal that is emitted from 100-foot towers found miles away. Now it's going to be in our backyard. People living in the vicinity of these 100-foot cell towers are getting cancer and other degenerative diseases. The question is, why is our town council allowing cell towers to be brought into our streets, some of which are just feet from our homes? I understand that the town of Huntington has permitted over 200 of these to be installed where our families live, work, and play, and also is being compensated financially for these. I can't be done. No.
We'll give you 5 seconds more since they cut off your mic.
Okay, because I'm asking for you to put a moratorium on the further installation of these 5G antennas and the removal of the ones, and there are many
Good.
villages and towns.
Thank you. We don't share time.
Okay,
Any other
but
testimony?
wait,
Mike? Thank you.
I just want to ask a question. So many brilliant, hard acts to follow by my associates with the 5G. Have any of you looked at a documentary or bothered to look at the studies on 5G? That's what I thought.
Well, I think there were us that have gone to documentaries before that were at the library, and I think there was one in the senior center that was sponsored by Citizens for 5G. I think there was one here at Town Hall also.
Yeah, wonderful as that is, you all have this very blank look on your faces like you really could care less. Why is that? I mean, even if you are making money off the taxes for the 5G, aren't you worried about your family, your children, your property? Don't you care? No? Silence is golden.
So we've all heard, and we all know by now, that 3G and 4G cause cancer, brain tumors, neurological problems. It affects kids with autism. And now we're getting 5G, which can't even be turned off. So at least with regular 3G and 4G, we had an option. If we had a sick child and we didn't want them anywhere near Wi-Fi, we could keep them safe away from it. But 5G is going to be right in front of our homes. And even if we're lucky enough to have a home not with 5G in front of it, we're going to have satellites beaming it down outside to the ground. There's no escaping 5G. I don't understand why there's a question involved in even considering putting this out in front of our properties. And again, no one's looking, like my sister said. You're all like, does anybody care? No, but your guys are at risk too. I don't understand this. Does anybody care? Like, you genuinely don't care about your own health and your children's health and the health of the planet? Every single creature, trees, bumblebees, everything is affected. It's affecting the GPS system in bumblebees. Like, they have a natural GPS. They can't even fly right. They're not going to be able to pollinate. It's going to affect everything. And I've just been watching everyone's faces, and I'm with my sister on this. I'm mortified that, see, like, you're just like looking off. No one cares. I don't understand. Can you give me some hope? I just want to hear something. That something's
I'll
going to
give
be
you some
done.
help.
Please, thank you.
Okay. I think this whole board cares. Okay,
Okay,
100%. We've gone to those meetings, those shows. We've seen it. Our hands are tied with the federal government.
I bought you some reading material on
I
that.
get it. I get it.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things going on. There are things we'd love to do, but things we cannot do. And it's very difficult being in sort of the middle because we have all sorts of government agencies around us, and we have to work within those parameters, those laws. And so it's painful to see you because you people are the nicest people coming in here, and I agree with all of you. You're doing a great job, and I do appreciate it. We want to help you. We really do. I just think our hands are tied where we can't do the things that you want us to do right now. And
What
we
can
need
you
the
do?
studies. We can't do much. We can't do much, as the
Can
town
you
attorney had
advise
said
us
to you.
on what else we can do?
I think you should come here and keep telling us and keep.
But if you can't do anything, like you say, why should we keep coming?
Well, because I think it's important because it gets out, and the more people that get out, I see that the people that come up to talk about 5G gets more and more each month, and I like it. I think it helps. I think it helps in the long run.
Can you help? And we have another showing here to help.
Absolutely,
need
I
more
will
awareness.
absolutely do that for you. Absolutely, and
Okay.
we'll invite the town. Absolutely, I will
Because the
do
main
that.
thing is awareness.
I think the entire town board would do that.
And
Not a
we
problem.
met with Dr. Calabrese and Ms. Feet, I think about 2 weeks ago, when we're trying to set up a meeting with some of the members of 5G for Awareness with Senator Schumer's office, with a regional representative from that to deal with, the FCC regulations and such, too.
Okay, because awareness is the most important thing.
I strongly oppose wireless antennas in neighborhoods and public spaces based on plenty of scientific evidence and harmful biological effects, as mentioned by many of the people before me. I wish to remind the board that the regulation of wireless service facilities lies securely in the hands of local and state governments. Although the claim has repeatedly been made that Section 704 of the Telecommunications Act prohibits local governments from considering environmental and health effects in their evaluation of permit applications, this is clearly a misinterpretation. The word operation was not included in the final draft of that document. The words placement, construction, and modification were used. The meaning of these words are clearly different. There is no logical basis to assume that the wording suggests anything about the operations of these facilities. Therefore, the wording of Section 704 places regulating authority of the operation of these facilities into the hands of state or local governments or the people by the omission of that word as required by the 10th Amendment of and the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution. Contrary to another common misinterpretation from the same paragraph of the 96 Telecommunications Act, it is also within local and state authority to regulate these facilities on the basis of health effects. Health effects are not mentioned here or elsewhere as limitations, only environmental effects. The argument that health effects fall within the definition of environmental effects also has no logical basis and is incorrect. The two meanings are distinct from each other and exist somewhat in contrast to each other. Thus, it is within regulating power of local authorities to consider the scientific literature about human health effects of non-ionizing microwave and millimeter wave radiation in order to reasonably and dutifully represent the health, safety, and liberty of its constituents. In the same act, under B, limitations, the right of a state or local government to deny a request to place, construct, or modify personal wireless service facilities is openly validated. And why wouldn't it be? Do we live in a dictatorship? No, we don't. It is absurd for local governments to believe that they don't have the power to protect their citizens from involuntary, around-the-clock exposure to microwave and millimeter wave radiation right outside of their own homes. The idea that local governments don't have a right to take into consideration science from highly credentialed scientists when they decide whether or not to approve an application to install a cell antenna is preposterous. It is a cop-out that has been repeated by agency attorneys for far too long. I know the board has been presented science by folks in previous meetings. We need the town board to understand that you do have the right and responsibility to act on this information and call for a moratorium on or the prohibition of the installation of small cell antennas.
I just want to say that I don't care what age you are, whether you're old, you're young, it doesn't matter. You're going to be affected by these 5G small cell antennas, and there's no escape. So it's something that a moratorium should be put on them, and something has to be done. I don't see how anyone could ignore the effects that these 5G antennas are going to have. Thank you.
All right. Normally I have a whole list of things prepared. I spend hours preparing for a 3-minute little speech, and I didn't do that today because I am tired, as you are. So I'm just going to give you a big rundown of what's going on in the world with 5G. The FCC is being sued by two big firms. The first firm is called the Irregulators. The FCC is being sued or called to task because Verizon has done a bait and switch in New York, and all of the telecoms are doing a bait and switch. That means that we have paid for fiber optics, and they are moving everything to wireless. So what we paid for is not what we're getting. The FCC is being sued by two major firms, again, the Environmental Health Trust and Children's Health Defense, because the FCC refuses to update their antiquated radiation regulations. So they are being called to task. Locally, as some people have said, Plandome, Lake Success, all those places have succeeded in stopping for now the small cells in their towns, but what is happening is these towns are also being sued by NextToNet. NextToNet is calling Port Washington right now, and they are going next. Port Washington most likely will stop NextToNet from bringing in their small cells, but NextToNet will sue. Oyster Bay, Mr. Lupinacci, is still holding the line. And this is something that we are asking Huntington to do. Do what Oyster Bay did. Pull out of your contract with Crown Castle and just let it happen. You've made over $500,000 by now from these small cells, so we're hoping that you'll use that money in this lawsuit, because you will be sued by Crown Castle, definitely. But we stand ready to help you. I know there's plenty in this community that would help you and support you in that. Pull out of the contract. Lloyd Harbor has fallen, and Huntington Bay has fallen. There are towns that are falling because of Huntington, the township of Huntington. The entire nation is watching us. Please pull out of this contract.
I'm 5 months pregnant, and I hear it's deadly to be in this building. So all of you guys are being radiated every time you come here, and I don't understand how you're okay with that, and you're okay with your families and the whole town here being radiated all the time. And so the word is getting out, and right now you have 24 people here. So if you think that this problem is going to go away or end, it's not going to. And I'll tell you one thing, every single day when I go to my mommy group, there's another mommy in there that I'm talking to, and everybody one by one is learning about this. Most people don't know. And Northwell just hosted the head of Microsoft from Canada, and this gentleman was crying, a grown man, because he wanted his grandchildren to know that he did everything he could to get the word out there about how dangerous this is. Along with the Northwell doctors were there to tell everybody that not only does it go through our brains, but it definitely causes adrenal gland problems, DNA problems, heart problems, all of this, okay, to adults and to children. So if you guys think that this is going to go away, it's not. So those things that you guys were saying before, I'd like to take the rest of this time to find out what else are you guys going to do? Because whatever you were saying before, we need more. I need to know more about what you're going to do to stop this, because we're not going to stop coming and doing and whatever. And us coming here, it seems pointless, honestly. Can you take the rest of my time to tell me what you're going to do?
Well, I just told you what I'm going to do, and I just set that up now. We're going to get in touch and see if we can at least get some of that information out. Tonight there's a resolution for extending a 5-year contract for cellular service. I'm voting no for it because of you.
Okay. Good, thank you.
So that you know, there are people that listen here, and I do appreciate you coming. I know you think it's a waste, but
I'm pregnant and I'm still here, and I know how dangerous it is. That's how much I'm worried about this. And all of my friends who say that they want to move back here, I keep saying, don't move back here. I don't know who's going to pay $30,000 taxes to have their brains radiated 24 hours a day. This is crazy.
I get it.
So the money that you're making on those cells are going to be nothing in comparison to the money that you're going to be making from all of the people paying their taxes and working and living and breathing here. This is a really big problem.
I'll try to be brief and get to the point, and maybe ask you a couple of questions that hopefully you could maybe expand on it and tell me where you're going with it. As you've seen from previous homeowners, the world experts on radio frequency radiation health has described potential 5G health effects as chilly, damaging to all the people. My question to all of you is, why does this town sanctions the deployment of 5G without evidence and in denial of scientists' warning of potential serious health effects? And the other question is, can the town provide independent, peer-reviewed scientific evidence that 5G frequency pose no biological risk to our population? So maybe I'll give you the rest of my time to see if you could at least pursue those two issues, which I think is within your jurisdiction.
Good. I mean, we are in continuous oversight. We did make sure that, and I just want to get my notes on this from a few, just to make sure that I'm reading this correctly. To make sure. So we were making sure in a meeting that we did have with Ms. Feet and Ms. Calabrese a few weeks back, we're making sure that Crown Castle is within the NEPA requirements right now and that they're compliant, so we're looking at that right now. As Mr. Cook has expressed, a lot of our hands are tied in this because it's a federal issue in FCC. So that is something that we ask you to continue to lobby Congressman Swazi and the other federal officials. I know we have visitors here that are from Hicksville today, and also Riverhead that are speaking on this on this topic. So to speak to their representatives too, would be Congressman Zeldin and also Congressman King and Congresswoman Rice in those areas also. And we're trying to set up a meeting with Senator Schumer and some of the members of 5G too. So I know that they have not met with Senator Schumer's office before, but have met with Congressman Swazi's office in the past. And that's going to be continuing dialogue that you need to have, not only bringing this issue to our attention, but also to the federal government who controls the FCC.
Could you at least maybe have some independent study that at least will give you a report indicating the seriousness of the 5G and actually within your jurisdiction provide that information and help us out in terms of at least advertising those?
We're not allowed to tangle in what the FCC regulates.
Good evening, town council people. I've been a resident of Huntington for 45 years now, and I just will very briefly speak about the danger of 5G. The European Union scientists warn of potential serious health effects of 5G. In an appeal to the European Union, more than 180 scientists and doctors from 36 countries warn about the danger of 5G, which will lead to a massive increase in involuntary exposure to electromagnetic radiation. So I would like to enter for the record the 5G appeal, the text of the scientists. It's been studied. It's a real threat to my grandchildren, my children. There's a sign on Park Avenue that says, "Welcome to Huntington, a great place to conduct a business and raise a family." And for 45 years, that brought me here in 1974 to a Samus house. And for 45 years, I believed it with all my heart. And now it's time for our town council people to step up and help us take a stand. Kabir has said, there's a poem, "What you would do tomorrow, do today. What you would do today, do now." We need your help now. Many thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bitcoff.
Good evening. Before I get into what I'm going to talk about, one of my colleagues couldn't stay and brought a packet for you all, which I'm going to give to Mr. Raya, about USA city ordinances to limit and control wireless facility small cells in rights-of-way, one of which is the town of Hempstead. Okay. My name is Susan Feet, and I'm a member of Citizens for 5G Awareness, a group that has been urging officials in the town of Huntington to explore ways to protect us from unprecedented exposure to electromagnetic microwave radiation brought about by the 2016 contract with Verizon, which Councilman Cuthbertson and Cook voted for, which gives permits for antennas outside our homes, some as close as 20 or 30 feet. I've measured it with my tape measure. After 2 years, the only result we see from speaking to you are letters from the board to government officials with no tangible results. Therefore, tonight, I want to ask about something that is surely within the responsibility of our town government. The regulation of radiation levels they allow residents of Huntington to be exposed to. After attempts to foil radiation levels at especially troubling locations, those with 12 or more antennas at near residences, schools, and offices, I am left wondering if our town even has an agency responsible for this. Could it be that our town government doesn't even monitor radiation levels? Several private citizens, as well as members of our group, and I have meters and have noted troubling levels of radiation, but we have no power, no way to enforce even the outrageously high levels of radiation deemed safe by the FCC. which are 100 times higher than those allowed by many other countries. In my opinion, it is your duty to protect us by keeping up with ever-evolving technology and with the many ingenious ways that corporations use to make even greater profits, disregarding the health and safety of ordinary people. We are counting on you. Thank you.
I offer Resolution 101, enactment to grant a first 5-year extension to the land and tower license agreement made by and between the town of Huntington and New Singular Wireless PCS LLC to extend the term thereof for 5 additional years.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Resolution adopted 4-1. Councilman Cook in the negative.